There's a test that's gone out into the world, into Christianity right now. And that test has to do with something that was established long ago that we hear throughout the word that is a requirement of Christians, of Jews in our faith. And you hear Jesus talk about it. And that test is whether or not you're going to defend the cause of the innocent. Defend the cause of the innocent. Isaiah 1:17, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow. Exodus 23:7, keep far from a false charge and do not kill the innocent and righteous, for I will not acquit the wicked. The wicked will not be acquitted. You understand that the wicked, even at this time in history, will be identified. They will have identified themselves with the beast. They will have taken that mark in their hearts by submitting to and worshiping the beast. What's the beast? It's counterfeit religion. It is all the ways that wickedness deceives those who are perishing. It is those who are being carried away by this great delusion, the great deception that God has sent. Those who are perishing because they have not loved truth, and who are perishing and being deceived by all the ways that wickedness deceives those who are perishing. All the ways. The image of the cross, your Sunday Sabbath, your Christmas, your Easter, and what you are doing right now, counterfeit Christianity, in defending an ethnic nation because you're too dull to understand the word that God has given you that says not all who are descended from Israel are Israel, not all who are descended from Abraham are Abraham's children, and a Jew is not defined by what he is ethnically in his DNA, outwardly through physical circumcision, but only through circumcision of the heart. You do not understand the word that Peter, who was a Jew, specifically said that there is no favoritism, that God had made Gentiles clean as well. And if you want to take part in that blessing, then you need to know the entire word and what it says. And it says that you are required to take up the cause of the fatherless, of the innocent, of the righteous, of the oppressed. You don't go support an ethnic category who is doing wrong, but you decide to overlook everything that they're doing that's wrong and be complicit in their evil simply because you prefer a narrative that they're the ones who are bearing your covenant and you'll be saved through them. You won't be saved through them. Salvation came through the Jews because Jesus came through the Jews, not because of an ethnicity. Now, there are some of you who understand what I'm saying, you agree with what I'm saying, and yet you're keeping quiet. You think that you are enacting your covenant by keeping quiet. You think that it's all fine and dandy for Carrie to go around standing up and putting her life on the line, being accused of being anti-Semitic and racist, and yet you keep quiet. You don't say anything. And I want to tell you right now, you will not be saved through what I'm doing, and you will not be saved through what Jesus did. You will be saved through fulfilling your own covenant. Then you will receive what Jesus did. Don't be like the hypocrites. Don't be like the hypocrites who are married to a narrative. You need to understand that you have to lean in even deeper into the instructions, the covenant that God gave you, in which he said you need to defend those who are being oppressed. If you're looking at this situation right now, you have eyes to see that what is going on is wrong, that this is stupidity to take one group that is an ethnicity and completely ignore the fact that they deny Christ, and that the word says that those who deny Christ are antichrist. They are antichrists. They identify with that spirit of the antichrist, and they are of that kingdom of the beast. If you have eyes to see that that is so, that what counterfeit Christians are doing is supporting the antichrist over a group of people who the world has been devising a narrative about, calling them terrorists, and the world has been devising a narrative around Zionism, which states that an ethnicity possesses the land of Jerusalem. If you know your word, you will know that we do not possess the land of Jerusalem or Israel until after the resurrection. So it must be spiritual land. And if not all who are descended from Israel are Israel, it must be spiritual land. And if not all who are descended from Abraham are Abraham's children, they must be spiritual children. And if a Jew is not one who is one outwardly, but inwardly through circumcision of the heart, it must be spiritual circumcision, and they must be spiritual Jews, and they must be engrafted into a spiritual tree that is identified as the nation of Israel. If you know all that, and you're looking at what's happening, and you're seeing that counterfeit Christianity has completely turned a blind eye and stands there and gives their approval for the slaughter and rape of women and children and a group of people who have been oppressed ever since this Zionist movement began, if you can see that they are so blind, counterfeit Christianity, that they are so blind and that they so prefer that narrative that they will condemn innocent people in order to justify themselves, you should be able to see the Antichrist reign. Exactly what I have been telling you, that the very people who claim to be doing a service of God, to God are those who will kill you, are those who will stand there and give their approval for you to be killed. How can you know that and stay quiet right now? How can you know that this is going to be done to you and you stay quiet right now? You don't think that you'll be held accountable for that? You think it's okay for me to get out there and say this every day? You think that you are aligned with what I'm saying because you listen to me do it and you watch me do it, but you don't have the courage to do it yourself? How will you stand in your covenant? Because you're not standing right now. If you are being quiet, you are being complicit. And if you're not discerning this, if you're not going back to God and you're not saying, sounds like what she's saying is true, is it? What am I supposed to be doing right now? If you've just decided that better not to ask because then you don't know, you are being complicit. You are not fulfilling your covenant. This is your covenant. Whoever helps even the least of these has helped Jesus. What was his parable, guys, about this Samaritan? He does not separate people based on race. He was demonstrating that it didn't matter what that man's race was. To whom is righteousness attributed? To a race? Righteousness is attributed to those who know God's word, love him, and obey him. If you can't defend the innocent, don't expect to be defended by him. If you can't live out this covenant right now, understanding what's going on and what your role is, because you guys have been telling me that you want to live this out, that you're going to do it. Oh boy, you're not going to bow down. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. When you are quiet, you're bowing down to your fear. You are bowing down to fear. But God has not given you a spirit of fear. That's a different spirit. You have a responsibility right now. You have a covenant that you are supposed to be living out, that's supposed to be coming out of your right hand, your deeds, the way you think, and what you are speaking. Where are you guys? What are you doing? When you hear counterfeit Christianity coming out of people's mouths, are you saying, oh, no, let me help you understand what's actually going on? Do you believe in the word? Because if you believe in the word, we have a basis by which we can have a conversation. We have a foundation by which we can have a conversation. Are you doing that? And if you don't know how to do that, it is not an excuse. You need to pray. You need to ask God, what do you want me to do right now? How do you want me to live out this covenant? How do you want me to stand? How do you want me to defend the cause of the oppressed, the innocent, the fatherless, the widows? What do you want me to do, Lord? The time for your covenant is not in the future, guys. The time for your covenant is right now, which means you see these things happening and you go back to him and you cry out the same way that I've been crying out. Lord, I am completely powerless to do anything here. Please tell me, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? Please lead me. Cry out in your grief. Cry out in your mourning. Acknowledge your feeling of fear so that it's not holding you back, so that you sort through it and it's not holding you back, so that you're then handed over to a spirit of fear. There is no way for you to be saved if you don't fulfill your covenant. You hear the things I'm doing. Many of you say that I'm so brave, and you have so many things to say about it, but that is not why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it for your accolades. What I'm doing is my duty at the end of the day. I would be happier for you to not give me accolades, but to go and follow my example. That is the reason I'm doing this. Go and follow my example. I'm not poured out so that I can receive affirmation from a human being. I'm poured out as an example to you so that you will do what I'm doing. Please discern this with God.